I think I saw a short reel of it. It was just amazing. But did y'all know that New York flooded last week?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Badly.
And Atlanta the week before.
Mm-hmm.
So here's New York.
The state of emergency in New York, a deluge of 2 months worth of rain falling on the city in 24 hours, causing severe flooding in some areas. Samara Theodore is here with the latest as things dry out a bit. Samara, good morning.
Good morning. So yesterday's powerful and moisture-laden storm capped off New York City's second wettest September on record as torrential rainfall left those in transit in dangerous and simply impossible situations.
This morning, New Yorkers drying out after a dangerous deluge left many areas underwater from record-breaking rain. Over the last 24 hours, unrelenting rain turning roads into rivers, cars stranded as people flee for dry ground, and millions of New Yorkers urged to shelter in place. In New Jersey, a state of emergency, floodwater swamping roads, making travel dangerous and nearly impossible. In Fairfield, watch as a firefighter hoists a driver over his shoulders, rescuing him from the stranded car in the middle of a flooded street, one of at least 18 rescues throughout the region. In New York, states of emergency in New York City and the Hudson Valley, one of the Big Apple's wettest days on record with more than half a foot of rain falling. The NYPD sharing video of this sea lion that escaped from its enclosure due to the flooding, but returned without leaving the zoo. The torrential downpour sending water cascading down stairs at subway stations. The system coming to a complete halt as rain poured through openings and cracks. This video showing water shooting out of the wall at the 7th Avenue subway station in Manhattan.
Get off right here.
Riders on this city bus in a panic as water surges inside. Drivers abandoning their cars on the FDR highway on Manhattan's east side. At the city's LaGuardia Airport, one terminal shut down as waters rise. More than 1,000 flights canceled or delayed. Hard-hit Brooklyn, receiving nearly a month's worth of rain in just a few hours. Vehicles plowing through flooded roads and floating trash. A whirlpool forming over a storm drain. Brooklyn's 4th Avenue looking like a lake. SUVs creating waves as drivers test their luck despite the dangerous conditions.
And you know what's wild about all this? As we see the ramifications of climate change persist, events like this will be more frequent. So let's see what we ended with here. So at JFK Airport, they saw 8.6 inches of rain. That was their wettest day on record since they began keeping that in 1948. And we saw rain totals high in even Norwalk, Connecticut, just over 5.5 inches there. So what happens next with this system? We're almost done through the thick of it, but we could still see one last heavy wave of rain over Long Island this morning by about 3 p.m. this afternoon. The last of it moving through New England, and then we're drying out. As far as totals go, generally speaking, about 1 inch, but we could see 1 to 2 inches on Long Island near Brookhaven. That's a look at the forecast. Janae, back to you.
Oh my gosh, Samara, those images truly wild and just mind-blowing. Thank you for that.
I'm sorry, but I really want to ask, how many people out there have made an exit strategy, a plan for if you get flooded, if fires happen nearby, if a hurricane comes? How many people really have that plan written out and shared with their family? And have you done a drill?
I looked up those numbers, Anna, because I felt that you was going to ask that question. And on average, none. Because this
ain't none. It ain't none.
We've started.
Let me finish.
There's like 12 creepy people in Alabama right now. They got a whole plan together.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah,
this is New York. You everything that you said, I'm agreeing with you, Anna. But everything you said is for places like Alabama, like Florida.
No,
places like that.
No, it's not.
Let me finish my statement.
I come from New York City, honey.
Let me finish my statement. Do you expect things like this to happen in New York?
Yes. No.
Floods and fires?
Yes.
Well, so here's the thing. All right. So I'm gonna take it in a couple pieces. First of all, New York City. If you are in the boroughs of New York City, you have seen terrorist attacks. You have seen you've pretty much seen it all. If you're in the boroughs of New York, you've pretty much seen it all.
Oh yeah, that was
And if there's one thing you know for sure, there ain't nowhere for you to run.
Right.
Okay, because if you try to run, everybody else running too, and you're in the one of the most populated, densely populated places in the country.
Yes.
You ain't getting nowhere. Okay, so your escape plan is more about how do you huddle down and wait and hope whatever happened didn't happen directly where you are. Right.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but that's how. If I was there, it ain't about how do I get out the city. It's about how do I survive whatever just happened in my city until
Yep.
help arrives.
I'll take back exactly what I said because I forgot all about that fire that reached all the way down here to North Carolina.
Well, the massive forest fire, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though.
All the way down to here.
Because like you got preppers, right?
Yep.
You got a couple different people. You got preppers, you got survivalists, and then you got just like a huge chunk of just white America, right? Outdoors and shit, right? So they got camping supplies.
Mhm.
They have a general understanding of what to eat, not to eat. They swim, climb, all that good shit.
Yep.
They all right. They get bit by a bug, they're not freaking out. Okay. So that this is a big generalization, but that's mostly white folk. Okay. Because black folk don't like being outside. Okay. And the Latinos, they don't like being outside. Don't nobody like being outside like white folk, right? It's just this thing about conquering your environment or some shit. I don't know. Cool. If there's but the problem I would have
harmony
is if there was a major event, a sudden major event, like you had this flash flood. If you're in the rural, I hate saying this word, but the rural areas, you may or may not have a boat, but you probably know someone who does. So, and you know if you're in like a floodplain, and there's certain things that certain people do. Like if you're in Louisiana, every third house has some kind of a boat. You know,
yep.
It is. But this is New York City.
Have a canoe.
You're not expecting 3 feet of water to happen in an afternoon. You know, there's no preparation for that because the problem is that's a city level issue. That's a state level issue. That's the infrastructure is not able to handle these freak occurrences, right? It's just like if a hurricane came, but it didn't travel 200 miles to get here. It came 5 miles offshore, right? That kind of sudden. So I get it. Now, me, I tried. Okay, I got my firearms. I got my things that feed the firearms. I got some water. I got bicycles. That's about that. That's what I got. Okay, like there's no K rations. There's no detailed plan on which back trails to follow, and I ain't got all that. You know, I ain't got it. And I don't think most people do.
No, they don't. But this is the thing. We're having to think about this now. And whether it is a plan to evacuate or a plan to hunker down, you should be thinking about this now. You should be talking with your family about this now.